Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum and I am here today at Morphy's for Knife Gun Day again. You guys always really like knife guns, so I figured we'd take another example here to take a look at. This is a little knife gun manufactured by a guy named Jacques Sigaud-Barnerias. Now, it's a hyphenated name and I'm pretty sure it's one guy, but it is possible that it's actually two, Jacques Sigaud and some Monsieur Barnerias, whom I can't find any information about. So I think it's just one guy. But he ran a company that made basically cutlery stuff. He made corkscrews, he made pruning knives, he made tableware, he made pocket knives, and sort of as an extra option addition to his catalog line, he made at least a relatively small batch of combination Pinfire 5mm knife gun revolvers. Let's take a closer look. Sorry for the interruption, just want to say that today's video is brought to you by Headstamp Publishing, with an extensive catalog of books on all sorts of interesting and esoteric small arms, everything from World War II small arms to Imperial Japanese swords to the earliest of revolvers and Cold War battle rifles. There is something at Headstamp for every firearms enthusiast. Check it out, links in the description text below. This is at least more practical of a pistol by a little bit than some of the knife gun designs out there. So a couple markings we can take a look at to begin with. The blade is marked Brevet SGDG, which means patented without government guarantee, kind of standard language there. This was something on this was patented. We have an SB in an oval, which is the trademarked logo for Sigaud-Barnerias as a company. They registered that trademark in 1887 in the town of Thiers in France. That's southern France, a little bit east of Lyon. So that's where these were being manufactured. The barrel is marked Éprouvé, which means proofed, and we actually have Belgian proof marks. There we go, right there. The little ELG in an oval with a crown on top is a proof mark that came into use in 1893 for black powder firearms. The crown, or the star J, is the marking of the individual inspector who did the proofing. I don't have a good record of who that might have been, but someone in the Liege proof house in Belgium. We have another SB there for the company logo. The gun part here is a 5mm Pinfire revolver. You don't have to open the knife blade, but you pretty much need to open the knife blade in order to use it. That snaps out like that, and then the trigger folds down. Note that the trigger is slightly offset, so that when you fold the knife blade, the knife is on this side and the trigger sits over there. Anyway, so the trigger drops down, and that gives you a functional 5mm little Pinfire revolver. 6 shots in the cylinder. Reload it by dropping the loading gate down. You can then spin this around. Note the little notches for the Pinfire cartridges. We have a manual ejector rod here for bumping out empty cases, like so. Fire control is double action only, which is kind of typical on a lot of the Lefaucheux Pinfire style guns, which this definitely is. And that's about all there is to it for the gun side. 5mm Pinfire is a very wimpy cartridge, akin to a 22 short, maybe a 22 long, not nearly as powerful as a 22 long rifle. And this would have been a black powder loading, so really, really small cartridge. So the way this was actually produced was that Sigaud-Barnerias contracted with a little anonymous shop in the Liège area to act as essentially firearm OEM, original equipment manufacturer. He was willing to buy a batch lot of guns, unfinished, so you'd have the gun part but not any of the knife handle, grips, that sort of stuff, and without any markings. They were manufactured in Liège, they were run through the Belgian proof house, and then delivered to Thiers, in southern France, where Sigaud-Barnerias finished them up by adding the knives and the grip plates on the side, and added his marking and turned them into a finished retail product. So not atypical for the time for manufacturing something like this. There are a lot of little Belgian shops that would do that kind of work. Frankly, it's a business model that's perfectly normal today as well. Barnerias was a cutlery specialist. He didn't do guns, he didn't have the infrastructure to make guns, so find someone who does, buy that element from them, and then add your own specialty and sell the result. For reference, I did find a catalog listing these in 1899 for 15 francs. Same catalog, you could get a Velodog revolver, which is actually usually fairly similar and without the knife, but the Velodog would cost you 18 francs, or a Bergmann Simplex, which was a simple blowback semi-auto pistol that would run you 40 francs. It can be fun to look at these and be like, wow, what a completely worthless trinket. Like, what are you going to do with that revolver? Also, how are you actually going to shoot that? And like, really, what? That's just goofy. And yet, people don't really change over time because we still have companies today making things like the Life card, which are not really that much fundamentally different than this, except this actually has a knife that you could use to open boxes with. So, you know, the whole knife gun thing, they're cool, they're neat, but they are absolutely impractical for any realistic purpose, but still cool to look at. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this particular one. Thanks to Morphe's for giving me access to it, as well as its gigantic Dumontier counterpart that we looked at previously. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.